Dear students, today we are entering into a very important topic in research methodology. It is research design. What is design? Just think of an engineer who is going to construct a building. Before constructing the building, he will prepare a blueprint. This blueprint will consist of all the details of the building. The work may be complete after 6 months or even 1 year, but still the engineer will specify all the details of the building in the blueprint itself. This will help him to complete the work without any hindrance. Similarly, in research also we have a design which we call as research design. We are going to study about this research design in this class. Research design is the preliminary step in every research activity. Design provides a picture for the whole research project. Research design refers to the perfect planning of even the minute aspect of the research procedure. Celtis defines research design as the arrangement of the conditions for collection and analysis of data in a manner that aims to combine relevance to the research purpose with economy in procedure. By following the blueprint or design, the researcher could save his money, his energy and also his time. Research design indicates to the entire process of planning and carrying out a research study prior to the actual field work, so that the researcher would go ahead or proceed with his investigation without any problem. He gets clear ideas of the setting and other steps concerning the research work. It is like making out a blueprint for the construction of a building, so that one could have control over the situations. Russell defines research design as the process of making decisions before a situation arises in which decision has to be carried out. According to E. A. Suchman, research design represents a compromise dictated by many practical considerations that go into social research. A research design is not highly specific plan to be followed without deviation, but rather a guidepost to keep one of the right direction. A good research design should fulfill 4 conditions. The first one is objectivity. Second feature is reliability. The third one is validity. The fourth one is generalization. The first one is objectivity. The research design should permit the use of measuring instruments to measure the truth or fact that was intended to be studied. The instrument is fairly objective, in which every research using it should arrive at precisely the same report. This means that when the instrument is ready, we apply it for different studies. In that case, the instrument should enable us to arrive at the same result whenever we use it. This indicates that the instrument has a good objectivity. The objectivity of agreement between the final scores of the research may be judged by more than one independent observer. In the case of more subjective measurement, the final evaluation and report of different observers will not agree with each other. The second feature is reliability. Reliability means the consistency throughout a series of measurements. If a respondent gives out a response to a particular item, he is expected to give the same response to that item whenever he is asked subsequently. The investigator should frame his item in such a way that the respondents could give only the genuine response. If the respondents keep changing the response to the same item when asked repeatedly, it will mean that the reliability of the design is less. The third one is validity. The instrument should measure what it is intended to measure. For instance, an attitude scale intended to measure the attitude of respondents towards war should measure only that issue. That is, the instrument should measure a respondent's attitude towards war and not anything else. The fourth one is generalization. Generalization refers to how best the data collected from a sample can be utilized for drawing generalization, which may be applicable to a large group. The conclusion of the study conducted on a small sample should be good enough to be applicable to a large population. A research design helps the investigator in his attempt to generalize, provided he has taken proper care of the population, selecting the samples, application of a proper tool and use of appropriate statistical analysis. Hence, students, in preparing the blueprint, that is the design of the study, the researcher should ensure all the four factors. There are various types of designs. Specific design could be adopted depending on the research purpose. The research design may vary depending on the issue under study. I will explain those designs now. When the research aims to portray accurately the characteristics of an individual or a phenomenon or an event, the design must be planned accordingly to fulfill the requirement. This design is known as descriptive or explanatory design. In certain other type of research, the investigator wants to gain more familiarity with the phenomena and achieve new insights into it. Hypotheses are likely to be formulated. This type of design is referred to as exploratory or formulative design. There is one more design which is called experimental design. Experimental design is the one in which the researcher tests hypothesis of a causal relationship between variables. First, I will explain to you the descriptive design. Many social research works have been concerned with describing the characteristic features of communities or explaining an event or a phenomenon. This sort of studies aim just to describe the factors relating to the issue, like the social background, educational status and health status, or enumerate different stages of an event. For example, a researcher may take up the study of a particular tribal community. Here, he will collect and present the data with an elaborate description of the existing conditions, structure, customs and practices of the tribe. Other than this, there may be studies explaining the structure and function of organizations that can be grouped under descriptive design. Certain other social research may have the objective of describing the marriage customs or funeral practices of a particular community with a sociological concern. These types of research questions presuppose much prior knowledge of the problem to be investigated. The methodology involved in this design is mostly qualitative in nature, producing descriptive data on observed behavior. The procedures to be used in a descriptive study must be carefully planned because the very aim of the research is to obtain accurate and complete information. Although the design can make use of various techniques and procedures, they must be planned in advance even before starting the research work. The researcher should take every measure to avoid bias. He has to take into account the amount of work and the expenditure involved. Descriptive design consists of 5 steps. First one is formulating the objectives of the study, and the second one designing the methods of data collection. Thirdly, selecting the sample, and the fourth step is collecting, checking the data, and the fifth one is analyzing the results. The first step is formulating the objectives of the study. The researcher has to define clearly the research issue that is taken for study. He must get a clear idea of what actually is his aim and why he is going to study and what aspects he has to explain. The objectives are to be specified with precision so that relevant data are collected to answer the questions raised. For example, if the research topic is on the health problems of rural women in Tamil Nadu, the objectives could be A. To find out their social background, B. To understand their utilization pattern of available medical services, and C. To analyze the health care provided to female members by the family. When the objectives are clearly framed, then the stimuli for data collection could be precisely framed so that there will not be any deviation or unnecessary data in the collection process. The second one, designing the methods of data collection. After formulating the objectives, the researcher gets a clear idea about what actually he is going to study. Now, he must decide how he is going to collect the relevant data. The required data must be obtained with the help of a suitable technique. He must choose the one that is most appropriate for his own study from all the available methods of data collection like interview, observation or scaling techniques. Students, all these methods of data collection will be explained to you later. Now, coming to this point, in the case of descriptive design, more than one method of data collection could be adopted, since the aim of this design is to ensure accuracy. For example, in research topics like marriage practices, the investigator can adopt observation technique as well as interview for data collection. The third step is selecting the sample. In descriptive studies, the researcher explains the behavior pattern of individuals in a group or the functioning of an organization. It is not quite possible to collect information from all the people involved in that activity or the organization under study. Hence, a sample of the population should be studied. This sample should represent the total population of the study area. Sampling will help the researcher economize his study in terms of money, energy and time. If the population of the concerned area of study is less in size, the whole population may be included for the study. At that time, there is no need for sampling. But when the research issue covers a vast area, then a representative portion may be chosen and the data is collected from them. It is important to find out the total population and identify the unit of study if the study area is quite large. The next step is collecting and checking the data. In the process of data collection, the investigator should check for completeness, comprehensibility, consistency and reliability of the information collected. The validity of the tool, that is tools like interview schedule, must be examined properly. The researcher must ensure that the interviewers are honest in collecting the data. The data must be checked for its completeness frequently by the researcher. The next step is analyzing the results. The investigator has to plan up to the last step of analysis of his data. He must decide at the beginning itself how the collected data has to be analyzed. The investigator should avoid unnecessary labor like doing and redoing things pertaining to tables. He should avoid inclusion or exclusion of a stimuli at his own wish or addition and deletion of descriptions. This kind of doing and redoing will consume valuable time. Such dispensable confusion can be avoided by planning these factors in advance. However, new ideas that occur can be accommodated in the writing pad and may be used later. If any statistical computation is required, the data must be collected in such a way that it becomes amenable for quantification. While preparing the design itself, the researcher has to decide whether he is going to use computer or do the analysis manually. Perfect planning up to analysis should be made while designing the study. Students, so far I have been explaining to you what we mean by design, and among the few designs I explained to you the descriptive design. In the beginning I explained to you the objectivity, reliability, validity and generalization in research design, and in the second part I explained to you descriptive design, and descriptive design consists of 5 steps. First one is formulating the objectives of the study, and the second one designing the methods of data collection. Thirdly, selecting the sample, and the fourth step is collecting, checking the data, and the fifth one is analyzing the results. Students, now I am going to put certain questions to you. 1. Define research design. 2. What are the 4 conditions of a good research design? 3. Elaborate the various steps involved in descriptive design. In the next class, we will study the other 2 important designs of research methods.